Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, and today I'm going to do a fully analog mix. I'm going to mix the song from my last video that's on this reel of ATR Magnetics tape right here. I transferred this from digital in the last video, so if you missed that video, make sure to check it out. I'll put a link to that video in the video description and at the end of this video. And using the Tascam MSR-16 as the analog playback machine, I'm going to use the Soundcraft Sapphyre recording console and a selection of my analog outboard gear for this fully analog mix. It's going to be really cool. So now I just need to patch in some of my analog outboard gear to the console with the patch bay over here so that I can mix this song analog. Got some cable right here. Also, in case you're wondering, the MSR-16 has -10 line level inputs and outputs. And yes, the rack gear is all going to be +4. However, the Soundcraft Sapphyre recording console has switchable levels on the tape inputs and outputs. So on the channels that I have connected to the MSR-16, I have the tape input output levels on the console set to -10. The rest of the console is still running +4, so my inserts to all my outboard processors, as well as my aux sends and all of that, are all going to be +4. Only the tape inputs and outputs on the console are affected, and those have a -10 switch, which is really lucky for me in this case. So I don't have to deal with the conversion to use the tape machine or my DAW, because those levels are switchable on the back of each of the modules of the console. I know I'm going to want to use my Symetrix 501 on the snare drum because it's awesome, and then maybe another channel of it on the acoustic guitar. Here we are at the console. I've got kind of an overhead shot this time so you can see a little bit better, and you can see the meters that are coming back from tape during the mix. I've got the tape machine remote control right here. Got kick snare, stereo toms, overheads. This is a room mic on the drums, bass guitar, and the rest of these are guitars. So I'm just using the Symetrix 501 compressor on the snare drum. I think that thing sounds incredible. I'm not really doing anything much to the toms. Got a touch of EQ on the kick drum, no EQ on the snare drum. And remember, these are samples that I printed from the DAW onto the tape. Then overheads, a room mic, which is sampled the Steven Slate drums kit that I chose, and it's printed onto the analog tape and appearing here on the console. Then we've got bass guitar and then guitar tracks here, and including this acoustic track down here. The snare drum with the Symetrix 501, I am using one channel of my ART TCS twin compressor system on the bass guitar, and I'm using another channel of my other ART TCS twin compressor on that acoustic guitar. Got some touches of EQ on various things in here. I'm actually brightening up a few things more than I normally would, adding a little bit of punch and some lows and low mids to the kick drum. I've EQ'd the room mic a little bit here on the console, as well as the bass guitar, adding some lows and some low mids to the bass guitar. Brightened up the room mic a little bit, added some high mids and a little bit of 12K high shelving EQ. On the bass guitar, I'm boosting a little bit of low end, which is like 60 Hertz on this console. Also boosting a little bit of 12K and some high mids to have that bass come through the mix a little bit more. The only other EQ is a little bit of high mids and highs being added to the acoustic guitar, which is also going through that ART TCS twin compressor. Here's a close-up of the rack gear that I'm using. I'm using this Symetrix 501 compressor on the snare drum for this analog mix. You can see the settings here. Attack is right between 1.5 and 3. Release just a little bit to the right of 30. Ratio is a little bit above 2.2. The right side of this top ART TCS twin compressor is being used on the bass guitar. Is set to the VCA bass mode, and these are the settings, about a 3-to-1 ratio. The attack and release are close to the center, a little bit faster on the release and a little bit faster on the attack. The acoustic guitar I have going through the left side of this bottom ART TCS twin compressor, I have it set to the stack mode for guitar. So I've got kind of a slower attack and a slower release. Ratio's 3:1. Threshold's right there. On that one, it's about 1 mark to the right of center. So that's all the rat gear that I'm using. It's fairly simple because the analog tape is taking care of a little bit of that compression sound and rounding things off and making things stick together nicely in the mix. See how this sounds with a little bit of EQ and some outboard gear and all the tracks running from the analog tape machine through the analog console. That was really cool and really fun. I think mixing analog from the analog tape through the analog console with just a little bit of analog outboard gear sounds fantastic, and it was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribing to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel if you have not done so already. I hope each and every one of you out there has an excellent day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond, whatever it is you're having. Have a good one, and thanks so much for watching.